Welcome to A Kinder World of Commerce. This is Santa Barbara, and I'm Monica Lenches with my co-host Claudia Rucker, who will be interviewing me this month on how we can be socially responsible in the service industry.
Monica, thank you so much for being here today and just joining me and talking a little bit more about this vision that we're both holding for just for each other and also for our larger community, Santa Barbara. And I think when I think about what we're doing in A Kinder World of Commerce, it's we're illuminating all of these beautiful trailblazing companies that have chosen intentionally to move away from business as usual and really live their values and operationalize their values. So just welcome. I'm so grateful to be here and to be in your company, as I always am. So, Monica, tell us what inspired you to start a socially responsible business, and if you will, tell us what your definition of a socially responsible realtor is.
Well, it didn't actually start out that way, Claudia. As you know, 30 years ago, I really didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I cared about. I didn't know what my values were. And in fact, I was in pretty bad shape. And it really took a long period of time of personal growth and healing for me to get connected to what really matters to me. And then that really translated to what are my values. And I realized that I wanted my personal values to be the same as my business professional values. I really wanted to be congruent as a human being. And eventually those values became my North Star. And that North Star really is what guides my actions in creating a kinder world in general. And, it really was more over the last 10 months that I started reflecting on the last 4 years of this last administration. And I just was so deeply impacted that I started to ask myself, what can I do here locally, here in Santa Barbara? And that was at the same time, that you were working on rebranding yourself as a value-based business. And I was so inspired by what you were doing that I decided to do the same. In fact, I borrowed your branding consultant. And that was such a remarkable experience. I mean, after 30 years of being in the business, I had never taken myself through this journey. And it took us a good 3 to 4 months, but that process consisted of me really reevaluating my values, surfacing new values, and then looking at what can I do to walk my talk even more so every day. And that's really where I realized that, oh, social responsibility has lived in my heart for at least 11 years now. But I just didn't know back then, how to make that my reality above and beyond what I was already doing. And so as I looked at the values that make up a socially responsible realtor, I came up with this definition for myself, that a socially responsible realtor is a professional who is value-based, process-oriented, client-centric, and collaborative-minded. So when I'm able to work in this way, I feel very fulfilled and I know that making my greatest contribution to my clients.
Would you be willing to share with us what your core values are today?
Absolutely. So, in order for me to move towards my vision of a kinder world, we have 6 values that guide our actions. The first one is that it starts with kindness. It also requires integrity. It also champions environmental and social change. We also value quality over quantity. It also takes a village. And if all goes well, it will inspire gratitude at the end of the day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love those core values. They live in my heart too. I share them with you. So, as a realtor, Monica, in a strictly service oriented business, how do you operationalize those beautiful values that we just spoke about?
Well, in the essence of time, I think I'll focus on 3. Not that these are necessarily my favorites, but they're the 3 that come up in this moment. The first one is, of course, that we live our process in our hearts. And what I mean by that is that we really value treating everybody with kindness, dignity, and respect. And this value for me really surfaced about 11 years ago when I had this very strong calling to create a documentary about the effects of media violence on children. And I called it A Kinder World. And it was a remarkable process. I ended up interviewing one of my mentors, And that process and that little documentary that I ended up with, it's about 10 minutes long, just really grounded for me how kindness is a core value for me. So, if anyone is interested in really getting a deeper glimpse into the origins of this value, I have my little 10-minute documentary on my website at monicalenches.com under the What Matters tab. It's just 10 minutes. You might want to take a peek. And if you have young children or teenagers, you may also want to take a look at it. The other one that I'd like to talk about is quality over quantity. And what I mean by that is that I have chosen to limit the number of clients that I work with at one time. 20 years ago, there was a time when I was navigating anywhere from 7 to 8 escrows at one time. And while I'm capable of doing that, it's not really that enjoyable. And I realized that because the quality of the experience with my client is so important to me, and I don't want to be looking at my watch that, oh, I've only got 15, 20 minutes here, that the only way we could really do that is if we limited the number of clients that we were working with to the 3 or 4. So I've been doing that for, oh gosh, maybe 10 years now. And it really is the thing that allows me to breathe, quality into the experience, both for my both for my clients as well as for my entire team. The last one I'd like to focus on is that it takes a village. And I know that that phrase is very overused these days, but for us, in order for our team to be able to provide the greatest service we can to our clients, we really need to be collaborating with our client's team of advisors. So that includes the financial advisor, the CPA, the estate planning attorney, the insurance broker, and then also, my escrow officers, our lenders, our inspectors, our tradespeople. And while I talk about, kindness and respect towards our clients as being a core value, we believe in treating the entire team with that same degree of kindness, dignity, and respect. And when we have that, it creates an experience for the client that actually can be very memorable. And it's a way for us to also reduce stress and anxiety for our clients.
In our recent interviews, we asked owners of socially responsible businesses the same question, and I'm really excited to hear your response. Can you explain to me what we mean by that?
That's a really good point, Claudia. It's not like you and I knew what this meant just a couple of years ago. It's taken us a while as well, right, to really embrace, what we mean by that. But in general, what is meant by operationalizing your values is putting your values into action or walking your talk. It means looking at the consequences of your actions so that if your actions cause harm in any way to your employees, the environment, our community, the world, the planet at large, that we take the time to reconnoiter, to reevaluate in what ways can we take different actions that mitigate or minimize those impacts. And what I think is so important for our viewers to understand is that when companies choose to be socially responsible, they do so from the bottom of their hearts. They genuinely want to do good in the world. They want to make the world a better, kinder place. And they're not doing it because there's some law out there that says that they should. And so, for this reason, I think that there is a lot to be said for these companies who take the time, because time is money, right? And there are also times at which, when these companies make these choices to do things in a way that may cost them more money, they recognize that doing so is a worthwhile trade-off. So whenever I get to interview these companies, it is the highlight of my day, if not my week, because it is so inspiring to see companies living from the inside out, allowing their inner compass of love and kindness and integrity guide their path. And yet, this idea of profitability is not at the exclusion of social responsibility and regeneration. They can all cohabitate, and actually they can work beautifully together in creating a better, kinder, more profitable world for more people in general.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true. And I know that it takes a greater effort to try to figure out like the process and operationalize it. But I think that there's such deep beauty in actually being able to toggle out between perspectives. And I love that you spoke to that because so many times we're just stuck kind of in our own perspective. And I just think that socially responsible companies are able, when they're making a decision, they invite basically a toggle between individual, team, business, client, and our society at large. And they're really taking a lot of effort to do that, right, Monica? I loved hearing that you spoke to that. Okay, so I've heard you talk about this unique process that you take clients through. Can you walk us through the tree process?
That was about 20 years ago that I came up with this phrase, the total real estate experience, which, of course, if you look at the first letter of each word, spells tree. And back then, tree was my totem. Like trees spoke very deeply to me. So it was a very meaningful phrase and acronym. And it is a process that is very comprehensive. It's very holistic. It's not looking at real estate in a vacuum, but really looking at all the pieces that touch real estate. And so this process has 6 steps to it. The first step, I call it visioning. And even before we get to that process of visioning, which really has to do with where does the client want to be going, right? What's this new home or this next chapter look like? We really have to spend time working on what is the purpose for making a change. And the purpose is that intangible motivation that makes you want to get up in the morning and take action. Because if I'm not convinced that the client wants to make a change, I don't feel comfortable moving forward. So I really need to know in my bones that they're clear, they're empowered, they want to make a change. And once that's clear between all of us, then we really start in with that visioning process. And we look at the traditional features like bedrooms and baths, square footage and lot size. But above and beyond that, I'm also interested in exploring how our clients want to feel in their home. What do they want their neighborhood to look and feel like? Like, are they looking for privacy? Do they want a sense of community where kids are playing outdoors and neighbors can see each other? And how will the home and the neighborhood then support the lifestyle that they're wanting to live? And then I type this up for them, and this becomes their North Star, our North Star. And it is a living, breathing document that is also open to change. So as we're looking at homes and other things become clear in that moment, we add it to the list. But it becomes this grounding tool, and it reminds the client of what they said they wanted in a very clear moment when there wasn't any stress, any coercion, any pressure. It really is something that came from within them and allowed them to say, okay, let's do this. This is what I want. Those are the keywords, actually. This is what I want. And then we move into step 2, which is the planning. And we usually start by having the client download what's on their mind, what's been keeping them up at night. And we talk about other things like getting the home ready for market. If they're going to be purchasing a home, are they going to be paying cash or getting a loan? And once we've got this plan in place, I then type it up into the form of a spreadsheet, and we assign people to these various tasks, and we put due dates and deadlines, and if needed, we create a budget as well, because sometimes we need to spend some funds in order to be able to really maximize the value of a property. But before I can move forward with this plan, we really need to be vetting this with the client's team of advisors, because chances are the financial advisor and the estate planning attorney have already created a plan. And the last thing I want to do is embark on a path, that goes down this way and has the potential to then upset a lot of work that's already been done over here. So in this way, because the ideal is to have transparency as much as the client's comfortable allowing, then we can really make our greatest contribution to our client. So once everybody is fully on board, including the team of advisors, then we move into step 4, which is launching the plan. And that's when everybody sets out to do their part. I monitor everything using our action plan on the spreadsheet. And then step 5 just starts to happen. And that really is the unfolding. And that's when you start to see things like ease and grace and synchronicities and kind of magical things happening. And at the end of the day, because we've done so much planning and preparation, we will see the realization of the client's vision, and hopefully there will be a gratitude amongst everyone, for this collaborative effort that has brought about the client's vision. And that really is the total real estate experience.
Amazing. They not only get an expert real estate agent, they get a life coach, they get a project manager, and they get a friend who's accompanying them and really listening to them and holding them with a lot of empathy and love throughout this very, sometimes very emotional process. And I think that that's just like a win-win-win for everyone. Thank you, Monica, for creating that amazing, beautiful, cohesive process, and really for giving way much more than just a transactional real estate experience to your clients. We need more people like you in the world. And I would love to just thank you for being the kind human being that you are and being on this journey with me. And I feel very grateful that I have the privilege and honor to interview you today and share you with our viewers. Thank you, love.
Thank you.